Hello, welcome back to another pen talk. Thanks for tuning in. We've been doing a little bit of variations on videos, and I figured it's time to return to our main theme, and that's pens from China. This pen I got a few months ago from Bobby, my Chinese supplier, and I didn't get a chance to really look at it. I got kind of distracted, Pen BBS, but now I've decided that it's worth giving a look. Here's some Chinese on one side of the packaging, which will translate for you. So my thought is there's probably a company in China that makes these cardboard pen containers, may sell them to a German pen maker for use for their pens, and then sells them to anybody else who wants them and brands them with whatever they need. So let's open this one up, and we'll see the standard cardboard sleeve in here with a pen attached. And we'll also see an eyedropper, which Bobby included, and an extra nib. It's a number 5 medium nib. And then we'll look at the pen, which at first glance kind of looks like a Jinhao 992. But on closer glance, there are some differences. The cap and finial are pretty much the same, but different cap band. And it's branded with the name of the Chinese pen manufacturer. You know, the converter inside is a little bit transparent with just that black piston there, so that's a little different. Standard unscrew cap, and about 2 turns to unscrew it. A clear feed, and a standard number 5 nib, which is also common on the Jinhao 992. Yeah, this one's labeled with the iridium point, but I think this is a replacement nib that Bobby put in the pen. He's still selling some of these brands, but not in the clear version on his Etsy site. I'll give you a link to those in the description. But one of the things that I notice is interesting is there's that red accent, or whatever you want to call it, in the bottom of the barrel. And this unscrews. You think a blind cap, but obviously not. A metal ring, which is easily lost. But what I noticed is when you tighten everything up, it works as a good eyedropper. You know, that metal ring's not going to touch the ink. Yeah, you unscrew the section, and you have your nice standard. I like the clear converters. I think all converters that are in demonstrator pens like this should be clear. And occasionally you'll see one with a clear piston in it, but you know, that's not too bad. That's like 99% clear. So we're going to flush it, ink it up, and see how this medium nib writes. Those of you that have watched some of my videos know that I'm an engineer at heart. And being an engineer, I can't help myself sometimes in taking things apart and trying to think about the decisions that may have been made in the design, available manufacturing, you know, availability of parts, third-party contributors, etc., etc. So this pen certainly has a lot of parts. I count 14, and I'm counting that little red washer inside of the blind cap as a part. The converter just pulls apart very easily. It's a very nice design. I'm obviously going to silicone grease threads and the piston and things like that. You know, the clear feed is just basically, I think, the same type of mold that they use the black or other things in it. And it has that number, which I think corresponds to the cell in the mold that it was in. So in case there's a defect in a mold, they just need to look at the number to call out the ones that might have a defect. You know, I don't know whether it's showing up, but there's some air bubbles inside of that feed. Not going to impact the way the feed works, but certainly not a sign of a good molding technique. So there are the parts, and it comes apart very easily. The nib was able to be pulled out very easily. So I'm going to reassemble it, and I am going to use the converter and not eyedropper because I'm not certain how long this pen is going to be used and how much ink I want to put in it, so we're going to limit that. I do believe SIKIB is also SKB, which is also Penton. So that would make this the F19 model, and these two are the F20 model. These pens share a lot of design attributes in common. The converter is a lot of clear materials in it, except for the piston rod is not clear in these. All of these have an end cap and unscrew, and they also have a silicone washer in there or rubber washer in there to seal everything up so they can all be eyedroppered. You know, the center cap band and the finial at the top of the cap unscrews to remove the clip or fix the clip. All these are well-made pens. All these are around $6. So if you're interested, you look up the Penton F19 and you'll see a pen that looks pretty much like this one. It may not have the red washer at the end. It may have a clear washer at the end, and the converter may be a little different, and it may have a fine nib instead of a medium, but I think the fine nib is going to give you a similar type of writing experience, just a little bit of a finer line. So you might ask, what pens would I compare it to? Well, obviously I mentioned the 992, and as you can see, this is longer, girthier, and also I think made with a higher quality resin, maybe PMMA, and this might be some other variant. But it has just a nicer feel, nicer weight to it. Here's a 698, and here's a 618. So the other thing you can take a look at is how the clear converter kind of matches up nicely with that Demonstrator transparent look of the pen. All these have silver trim, all of these have various types of cap bands on them, but the SIKIB to me is a better made pen, even though it has all those parts to it, but it doesn't have the metal screw to hold in the cap like the 992 does. The 698 and the 618 I think are a league above. Obviously piston fillers, a little bit better quality, but the SIKIB is not far behind. The plating is nice, and we'll see how it writes. To me, it's always a challenge what ink to put into a new pen. So I know Wassy Squirrels had some challenges with one of his Krishna ink, so I got a similar color, different name. The color card shows it to be a nice orange with, to me, a little bit of red there. The chromatography is actually more orange than what I would have expected. And if we didn't wanted to compare it to some other oranges that I have, you know, there's Keiko Sunrise Orange, which is really a more yellowish orange. And then we have Diamine Blaze Orange. Move the light into the right spot, which is to me also a little bit more on the red side, but more orangey than the Singhor ink from Krishna. The pen is a nice weight and nice size. It'll give you the dimensions. And the weight is the same as a 992 or most of the other Chinese pens of this style. It's about a little bit under 17 grams. I really do like the way the ink color comes out in the section, and the feed was a good choice. This fits fine in the hand, unposted. The section feels nice. A little flare out at the end. It's a little sharp at the end, but I generally don't hold my pens there, and you can move anywhere you want up and down the barrel because those threads don't really come into play. I mean, this nib works great. The medium nibs that I've gotten from China have all been very good. You know, equivalent to the iridium tip German nibs that I think they're made to mimic. I mean, you don't require hardly any pressure. It lays down a nice amount of ink, and this Krishna ink, I think the color is pretty nice as far as an orange goes. Definitely going to make my close to my favorite orange ink list. So now it's time for a rating. And I'm going to give it an 8.9. It missed being a 9.0 because it doesn't have anything spectacular going for it. It's an overall nice pen. It looks good in the hand. But in order to get above a 9, you need to be a little bit extraordinary, at least in something. And it made 8.9 because I don't find any particular flaws with it. And for an inexpensive pen, well, not the dollar variety, but, you know, in the $5 to $10 range, it certainly requires some merit and some consideration. So we've reached the end of this video, so thank you for watching. And may you have many great writing experiences. Get an opportunity to explore this phenomenal world of pens that surrounds us on a global level. May you have many great writing experiences. Enjoy putting ink on paper, maybe even orange ink on paper. So we've now reached the end. Bye for now until we meet again. Nice ink.